I think we have the ability to take the medicine we offer to our customers, so to speak, when it comes to decarbonizing our operations. So for us, it's critical actually that we achieve this decarbonization, because this is really the way to demonstrate how our products work and why they work and why they make sense from an economical but also sustainability point of view.
Now, usually, taking your own medicine has an unpleasant connotation. But for Danfoss, it's proof of concept. By applying their own technologies to cut emissions, they demonstrate how competitive decarbonization works in practice, both for the bottom line and for the climate. This is Next Stop, Green Business. I'm Maria with State of Green, and I'm on the road across Denmark visiting companies that prove climate action and competitiveness go hand in hand. From factories to service stations to sleek HQs, every stop brings a new perspective on why green business is good business. And I'm taking you along for the ride. Most of us know Danfoss for the thermostats, but actually they only account for 0.4% of the business. What Danfoss essentially does is components for industry and buildings that increase machine productivity, reduce emissions, lowers energy consumption, and enable electrification. And with over 100,000 unique product references, taking their own medicine is no small feat.
And so it means we need to change a lot of different products. We need to look at a lot of different decarbonization pathways, a lot of technologies that we need to figure out on how to decarbonize. So that's one thing. The second, it means we need also to find the business models.
I stopped by Danfoss at their offices at Kultorvet in central Copenhagen. I met with Judith Nysen, head of the analysis team in corporate public affairs, and Victor Gansel, climate and decarbonization lead within group sustainability, and they explained to me what sustainable self-medication looks like in practice. And in terms of decarbonizing their production, it can be put into 3 simple steps.
I think generally we like to sort of think practically of 3 steps that we take. So one is energy efficiency first, right? The second step is to electrify. Electrification in itself is also an energy efficiency measure. And of course, that is where we need to go. And then really the third step is thinking about these initiatives and efforts as being part of a system and integrating it. So we can look at one machine, but what if we can, again, take the excess heat from that machine and use it to heat the spaces that we work in, or connect it to the district heating system.
The flagship example of this approach is the Danfoss headquarters in Nordborg in southern Denmark. Here, they've cut heating needs by 79% and reduced energy consumption by 50%. And as a matter of fact, the factory that they have on site has also been certified CO2 neutral. The doors are very much open for people to come and see these achievements, because the true success of these efforts lies in inspiring others.
So I think it's very powerful to see that a site the size of a headquarters of such a large organization can achieve that level of decarbonization and energy efficiency. So that's really our flagship success.
And the effect that has, and what we see again and again, is what we like to call seeing is believing. A big barrier, I think, in terms of end users and consumers, is just the notion that it's not so scary, it's possible, others have done it, it's not complex, maybe I should also do it, or simply, I didn't know that this was out there.
For Danfoss, seeing is believing is also about showing that competitive decarbonization is a scalable business model. From a country like Denmark, where the energy infrastructure lends itself well to these types of projects, to a place like Poland, where the energy mix is still dominated by fossil fuels, Danfoss has shown that investments in energy efficiency and decarbonization are worth it.
Yes, in Nordborg, the payback time was 3 years. And of course, Nordborg is in Denmark. Things are maybe easier than elsewhere in the world. But then if we look at our factory in Poland, in Grodzisk, there the payback time was 2.5 years. And if it can be done there, then it can be done in a lot of other places too.
The value of making these investments is especially significant in a world where energy efficiency is tied to security, as Danfoss can attest to.
No, competitive decarbonization very much is a resiliency strategy. We were resilient during the energy crisis because we had implemented these solutions. We weren't hit as hard because we weren't as dependent on, getting that energy. And this you can even scale up, right, to sort of regional level or country level. If you're not so dependent on energy imports, etc., you also become more resilient because it just, your own production site could almost be a circular system that feeds itself.
As Judith and Victor repeatedly stressed to me, this isn't a side project for Danfoss. It's a directive from leadership. It's critical to deliver on the green agenda to protect our collective future, and at the same time, it's meaningful because it's tied to long-term prosperity for the business.
When you make all these investments in increasing the factory productivity, increasing the energy efficiency, you can actually win money. We were paying less money for energy than some of our competitors, for example.
It's not just sort of a nice to have for the climate, it's a need to have for the business. We will not be in business if we don't take this very seriously. So it's still the decarbonization thing, but, pointing a light or shedding a light on the fact that it needs to be competitive too. I know that our CEO likes to say we don't want to be the greenest business out of business.
Like many other companies, Danfoss sustainability efforts are guided by science-based targets. But in spite of the many operational changes they must see through, it's actually the internal organizational transformations they highlight when I ask about the biggest hurdles or toughest pills to swallow.
So I think it's important to keep in mind that a science-based target is a transformative target. It's not an easy target. It's by definition a stretch target for companies. And it's not enough to be manufacturing sustainable products to achieve your science-based target. You need to transform the organization. To become a sustainability leader, you really need to modify the organization compared to what it was in the world before.
An equally important and perhaps slightly surprising aspect of sustainability leadership is being loud and proud about successes. As Victor argues, hiding progress can be just as risky as exaggerating it, and that the climate crisis can't be solved in silence.
So I think in addition to that, if companies want to lead, they have to share what they do. I think there's greenwashing, but there's also green. No, what we see is that companies even start feeling a bit uncomfortable at the idea of sharing their successes because they fear being criticized or overly scrutinized on what they do. And I think this is not a good trend. I think we don't have time to win the climate battle, and we cannot let every single organization, from the big ones to the SMEs, to figure things out themselves alone.
Ultimately, what Danfoss are hoping and feel a responsibility to convey is that the green transition of industry doesn't have to wait for the next big breakthrough.
We like to say, and it's true, that most of what you need is already out there. The solutions already exist. So this is not about fancy new innovations. People are convinced when they realize it's out there. It's no longer about being the first to commit to something or having the biggest project or the most expensive project. It's about implementing what's out there as fast as possible to, try to even get close to making it.
In other words, the cure is already here, and it's both green and competitive.
It's just a good business case. And I think that's really going to be key now that, companies and governments have all made their climate commitments. Now it's about actually doing it. And that's kind of the hard part and the scary part. So that's also why we're talking about this now in this way. We're not saying things, that are very different than what we were saying before. We're just trying to highlight the fact that this is just sensible business. As a matter of fact, if you don't do it, that's going to harm your business.
That's it for a visit to Danfoss, and for my bad medical puns. Thanks to Victor and Judith for having us. Next up, we're headed from Danfoss to Grundfos. Yeah, I know the names are similar, but the perspectives are uniquely their own, I promise. See you next time.